Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Telling Tales. Here we tell atmospheric stories together through the medium of tabletop role-playing games. It's Monday night, so we'll be playing Vaesen, Mythic Britain and Ireland. We are into our third arc now and having a lovely time with it as well. Below the stream, there are links to our social media, our YouTube if you're watching on Twitch, or Twitch if you're watching on YouTube. Our Discord, which you should join and come and chat with us and the other lovely people who enjoy watching things on the channel and are involved in the channel in various ways. And our Patreon, where if you enjoy what we do, you can support us there. Other things that we do on the channel on Wednesday nights, we have Simba Room, our longest running show on the channel. And on a weekend day every month, we have a different one-shot adventure with different GMs, players, games, etc. The next one looks to be Saturday, April the 29th, and that is going to be Goblin Quest, a very, very, very silly game, different to what we do during the week. I'm looking forward to seeing that. But yes, to keep up to date with all that stuff, follow us on the socials or join us on the Discord. And there is a very handy events tab and an announcement channel. Lots of ways to find out what's going on. So let's recap last week's session. Let's bring on Sam first, who plays Hux, Magnus Huxley. Hey, Sam.
Hello.
So the previous session had ended with James, the man who had been sort of helping Lady Spence in your previous misadventures, had come back to London with Gladys Pugh, and he had come charging in, saying that it's happened again. He's seen it again, and it's taken someone.
Yeah. So we're to take by that he's seen the monster again, the monster that originally drove him away from London through fear, really, rather than literally driving him away. But obviously that kind of terrified him so badly that it must be something quite scary indeed. So it was something that took people in the Thames, is the thought. So yeah, we dashed off after him, basically. Seemed like it was something to go look at immediately. So all of us dashed out in the dark. I think it was later in the evening at this point. Dashed out in the pouring rain. I think it was something like a 20-minute quick walk to the Thames. And it wasn't that easy to see once we got there because of the weather and the darkness. But we noticed that where James was pointing out, there was indeed what looked like some kit that someone had been fishing, but there was no one down there. So I went down to have a quick look and didn't touch any of the kit, but did notice that it looked like that someone had indeed been dragged into the water, sort of dragged, sort of lifted, certainly not completely out of the air. So something big took them. Meanwhile, everyone else was staying up there. I believe Steve's character, Brain.
Henry.
Thank you, Henry. I was going to say Henry. My brain said Henry first, and then I went, no, it's not Henry. Why are you thinking Henry? Names. Yeah, Henry noticed something dark moving in the river up towards a bridge away from us. That was presumably the monster of some sort. I think it said it was something like 5 meters long and something like half a meter wide. So pretty big. The group kind of decided we should report this after a bit of conversation. So a few people head off to the police station, and I head off upstream to see if I could see anything, which I didn't.
Cool. Thanks, Sam. So let's bring on John, who plays B. Hale. Hey, John.
Hello.
So a couple of your team went off with James.
I think it was Constance and Henry went off with him, and they went and talked to a lovely officer called Officer Marks, who took James's statement, didn't immediately arrest him, came down to investigate the scene and had a look around. We had intentionally not searched it or tampered with the scene, and we all sort of stood by with bated breath and guns not exactly ready in case he was also pulled in. But it was all fine. He went through the fisherman's effects and found a name, but we all thought it would be a bit weird if we asked what that name was, because why would we care? We're just concerned citizens. And that was more or less it, really. He didn't look at the scene and go, well, clearly he was eaten by a monster.
Yeah.
What else?
Which is good for you.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's bring on Justin, who plays Gale Mosling Forsmark. Hey, Justin.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, well.
Good. So, while this was going on, Gale managed to not only sort of pen the shortened term photos, I think.
Yeah,
during
always a trendsetter. He's not going to catch on, though. Like even if Moslin could invent, all of these terms, but who would listen to him? No one. No one sensible would listen to him. No one insensible either.
But you did manage to take some photographs.
I took some photographs of the Thames and a strange creature within it, as we've said before, between kind of like 18 by 3 feet, to use the imperial system, and a couple of fins like appendages at the front, a couple of small fin like appendages at the back, roughly eel shaped, ridges, 2 fins near the mouth that kind of look like hands. That's what the front 2 were like. So all in all, we're thinking sea serpent type thing / the biggest jellied eel London's ever seen.
They are popular there. So great. now I'm just imagining somebody's sort of culinary experiment gone wrong, like breeding the biggest. Anyway, let's bring on Inga, who plays Constance Kirk. Hey, Inga. Constance was mildly unhappy at times.
Yes, it's very out of character for her to be unhappy at the way of the world. Yeah, I mean, we went back and hit the books, and figured sea serpent seemed possible. But we also had a look at some of the Spartus stuff again, given the dodgy dealings there. And Constance was keen to get the stuff about, kill a dozen people as good words of advice stricken from the records. But the other members of the society, like Rupert and Eleanor, were keen to maybe just add like a revision rather than just delete it entirely. So Constance went off to go and write up some strongly worded letters to add into the revised stuff here. But she also ended up having a look at who it was that had written it, because there are logs of who's added accounts to all of the kind of records for the society. And it's someone, it was a William Blakely who we figure is related to Eleanor, as Blakely was her maiden name. Was that the right way around? I think. Yeah. No, she married into the Blakely family. Otherwise,
yes. No.
Sorry,
It's fine, because this is exactly what I did last time. She is a Blakely by blood, and Rupert's wife is a Blakely by blood, but is now a Merryweather because she's married Rupert.
That's right. Yes. So some sort of relation of people in the society, at least. I'm not sure exactly what, but seems a bit iffy. And Constance has got suspicions raised, of course, and has secreted away the book on her purse. Well, she went and locked it up in her room, taking out the library, and suggested some sort of investigation into who this William Blakely is, what relation, and whether it's possible. Essentially, the suspicion is that he's under the influence of Aspertus if he's still around, and putting in some very dodgy advice into the books. But yeah, I think that was mostly it about the book entry and stuff from back in the house. Because by the time we got back, it was dark and raining and late after the excitement with the sea serpent and stuff. So Yeah, we made some very good decisions to address more stuff the next morning.
So let's bring on Steve, who plays Henry Bonneville, for the final recap. Hi, Steve.
Hello. Yeah, it's always
what were you
fun
doing?
to, it's always fine leaving things to the next morning. Nothing bad ever happens. Just procrastinating. So Henry was on a hunch interested in checking the tide tables, trying to pin down whether there are any sort of factors that like common factors between the attacks, because we knew a couple of dates at least. So headed to the library to check the papers and various almanacs. Saw Sister Constance on the way there, hurrying somewhere with a book, but I was sort of driven, so I didn't pay it too much mind. And yes, we found out that around the times of the attacks, it seems to be that there's a notably high tide, followed by a notably low tide, and that sort of that grouping of tides seems to indicate or be around the times that these attacks have happened. And it seems maybe that this creature has been drawn in upstream and then trapped there. So that's the information that we managed to recover from the papers. And Hux has a contact that might be able to use that information or give us more details on sightings, perhaps. So we were making progress there. That was great. Then Sister Constance came in and was very keen to have a word about investigating the Blakeleys. And then we heard a crash from downstairs, broken crockery. All rushed down to see what was going on, and Gladys Pugh was levitating a little way off the ground and said in a voice not hers that we were too late and that she's number 3. And there we are.
There is a knock at the door.
Is this during the levitation?
This is immediate, yes, at this exact point. Gladys Pugh, or what was Gladys Pugh, you're not sure, moves forward, sort of towards your group / the staircase, taking tiny steps, still not on the floor. At the moment, sort of suspended in time, and she plummets to the ground. And then is kind of in a heap on the floor, and then goes, "Oh goodness, I'm so sorry. I do hope that wasn't terribly expensive crockery." "Oh, the way you're looking at me, it was, wasn't it?" "It was. Oh no, I'm very sorry."
I think we need to get you to the chapel. Sister Constance, perhaps some of your holy water might be useful.
Knock, 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 knock. Louder than the first time.
I'll go get the door.
Is the door?
Yeah,
are we in plain sight of the door? Yeah, let's not.
I would like to try and usher her away, because we have a chapel in the house, don't we? So I would try to usher her away.
I open the door a crack, looking behind me rather than swinging it wide open.
As we start ushering, I kind of want to look to, I don't know, like be in Bonneville maybe, in a sort of like help me look.
I'd come with you.
Yeah.
Outside the door is Albert Bradley, the journalist, and he says, "Look,
I'll just shut the door." That's fine by me. I'm shutting the door. I lock the door and walk back to the room.
That's fine. He starts not. But if
Yeah,
you're
I made sure it's bolted so he can't get
Who
in.
was it, Hugs?
Yeah.
No one.
Cool.
That's
Yeah,
the way
it's
we
sort
deal with
of
them.
he's sort of gone from knuckle rapping to like fist hitting the door. But if you're ignoring it, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, anyone else can ask me further or go get it, but I say nothing more.
I think
I'm
Rupert can deal with that.
with Constance. I'm helping hurry Gladys through, and I'm helping Gladys through with one hand and holding my gun with the other one.
I'm gonna just try and distract her as much as possible. What's I think we should we'll need to do whoever's at the door sort that, but I think we'll need to get our way to Sister Griffith as soon as possible. But until then, what's your favorite Bible passage? Let's pray. And I'm gonna try and like just just try and almost like chanting just like repetitive like mantra, just something. Yeah, to get Bible in brain.
Are the first aid supplies in the chapel, sister? It's only a small graze from the floor. There's nothing. She has no idea, like none.
You're not. That thing has.
Let's get you sat down first, shall we?
I think
Yes.
yes.
All right. Yes.
I think it's very important to focus on at what yes, tell me what your favorite passage is. I think we should sit and focus on the good and the things you want to do. What will be the first when you go to meet with Sister Griffiths tomorrow, you want to look at the or maybe even this evening, then you want to look at I'm sure she'll want to sit down and explore some passages with you. And what will be the first things you want to study, the first things you want to focus on,
well, it may be quite cliched, but I suppose John 3:16 has always stuck with me. Are you saying that something has happened?
I'm afraid I think you lost control of yourself a little for a moment there.
Right.
We know that focusing on the good that you can do, dedicating your life to good is the thing that will diminish it. I think that must begin now.
Yes, I do. I do feel a little funny, I suppose. I thought perhaps I just had a dizzy spell, but you sort of enter into the chapel, and
She comes in okay. She doesn't.
She comes in okay.
Held
Yeah.
up to the door. Doesn't look like
Yeah.
she's got doubts. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I'm basically I think the plan is to basically just stay up and read with her for as long as we need to until we deem it safe to try and get her to Sister Griffiths, no matter what time of night it is. If it seems like things are vaguely okay and that she's not like about to try and murder me or something, might suggest I guess kind of looking to if the two of you have followed all the way through to the chapel. See if you can get just to whoever, maybe see if you can get rid of whoever it is at the door so that we can safely get back out to the chapel. But perhaps it's best to have a carriage or something as well. Get there as soon as we can.
Yeah. Speaking of that, Jonny, are we still on the? Is he still banging for more than like 10 seconds at the door?
Yes, he is leaving longer gaps between. But you know when you've got that thing where as soon as you think maybe he's gone, that's when he knocks again.
Yeah.
Like each time.
I'm looking at Gale with that. You go deal with this, or I'm going
Yeah.
to beat him unconscious sort of look.
I say, why don't you try and get a carriage and then also go to the convent and tell them that we're going to try and bring names escape me. Bring her tonight.
Yeah,
Does that
yeah.
make sense?
Keep
All
him
right.
busy so he doesn't notice.
I'm going to grab a coat and go. I didn't have time for a cup of tea. I didn't have anything, and then I'm going to open the door, close it behind me, and go. Oh, you're here! I was just going to go look for you.
He sort of gives you. Can you give me a roll, Justin? On,
Yeah, go for it.
I suppose maybe.
I am trying. I'm a journalist trying to deceive someone for my own gain, and so I can use inspiration.
Okay, great, perfect.
At least that's what I think I'm trying to do. Maybe I was going to. I roll 8 dice, and none of them succeed, so I'm going to push.
Okay.
And roll another 8 dice. So I take 1 mental damage for that, don't I?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm going to become angry, I guess. That sounds fun. And I'm going to take 2 successes. 2 successes.
Okay, great. He sort of looks at you disbelievingly for a moment and then goes, right. Well, I suppose if you were on your way to me anyway, then
Of course I was. Of course. Look, we need to get moving very quickly. I don't have time for this evening. There's been someone has fallen into the Thames, and I
That's
think there's
why
a
I'm
story
here.
behind it. Oh,
Yeah, that's why I'm here. What's going
what
on
took
in
you so
there?
long? That's where we live. Well, not all the time. Some of us live there.
But all right.
I don't have time to sit around here talking about this.
Yeah, we'll
rubbish.
talk about it later. Right, fine.
Someone's just disappeared. Like I kind of stop like striding off in the direction of the Thames.
He sort of grabs his notebook out and is going. So what's the? Do you speak to the officers? Did you? What's the names?
Officers, the names. Look, it was very. We only arrived on the scene quite late, but we definitely saw a tackle box. I have a good photo of the policeman looking around the scene of the crime. But
Perfect. I'll give you a photographer's credit.
Anyway, there was a tackle box, and the police officer seemed to know the victim's name, so that's a start. You could go and ask there if you could go ask at the station if you wanted. If you could get that information, that would be really helpful. I'm going to go back to the scene and poke around. You're welcome to join me.
I will.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Camera's probably under my arm, kind of thing. Anyway, cool. That's me. We're off.
Okay. So yes, back in Rose house.
I was getting a carriage. Is that something I can just do easy enough?
Yeah, if you speak to Rupert and Eleanor, you'd be able to get one yourself. But if you wanted to speak to them, they'd be able to. They'd probably know which people were reliable.
They'd do it
and
quicker
fast
than me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd either do that or I'd speak to the butler, dude, whatever his name is. I figured he might know how to get a carriage quick.
I'm sure Hux knows how to hail a cab in London.
Yeah, but I look dodgy. They don't stop for me.
How many cab drivers do you think would stop for Hux?
They might think that he's the attendant of someone who's richer than him.
No, they won't. Yeah, I will get a cab hailed as quick as I can.
Yep. Okay. Perfect.
Anyway, how are Rupert and Eleanor reacting to this surprise turn? Or were they in the room? Were they?
Yeah, they were in the kitchen dinery area. So similarly to you, they heard the smash of the thing, and they were sort of at the door to that as you reached the top of the stairs and that kind of thing. But because you, as a group, kind of took charge of the situation, they're sort of following along and keeping an eye. But
okay,
you're in the. This is something that you were already dealing with, so they're sort of not. They don't have anything particular to add, so they're not.
Sure. They weren't in the room when it happened. That's
no.
Clears things up. Yeah.
There is another knock at the door, much gentler this time. You all won't have heard Hux. Can you make a listen roll for me, actually? So.
Sure.
I was actually because Constance said for one of us to go hail a carriage, so I was going to leave back into the main building and presumably find out that Hux had already done it.
Would you also like to make a listen roll, John?
Is that a
please?
vigilance roll, presumably?
Yes.
Used to a bit of Cthulhu there. Always my vigilance.
Yeah.
Nope.
Oh, okay. Okay, John, you hear a knock. So kind of, it's quite. There's still the sound of the rain beating on everything. So it's quite a sort of feeble knock at the door that you only just hear, and you only just differentiate it from sort of the sound of the rain and other noises going on.
That better not be whoever it was before. I'll go and open the door.
Oh, hang on. You didn't go to the newspaper office, did you?
No, I didn't.
Okay. There's a young, quite scared-looking man at the door, and he says, "Excuse me, is there a Mr. Bonneville here?"
Yes.
Don't
Don't stand in the rain. Come on.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, he's drenched because he has no umbrella now.
Oh, the guilt.
Yeah, thank you. Well, really, are you also an investigator?
Yeah.
I could just.
so.
I'm really just here to let Mr. Bonneville know that Mr. Bradley isn't very happy that something's happened that he thought that he might know about, and he hasn't told him about it. So I was just coming to let you know that Mr. Bradley may be here or be annoyed. And I got the feeling from overhearing Mr. Bradley saying about the relationship that he had with Mr. Bonneville, that he might not be very happy about the fact that he hadn't been told straight away that something had happened that may have involved you and may be of interest to him. So he might be coming.
When he's looking down, is he looking at
It's
Bonneville's business card?
Yeah.
Right. Right. Well, that's... Did Bradley send you?
Oh, no. And if kindly, if you spoke to him, if you wouldn't mention that I came here.
That's very kind of you.
Not to be rude, but I don't suppose you know if my umbrella is here.
I look at the umbrella stand because there's always one.
I think there's probably one that you don't recognize there.
Is it one of those?
Oh, yes. That. Do you think Mr. Bonneville would mind if I borrowed it again?
Nah.
Okay.
I
should head off, I think, just in case Mr. Bradley does. If I was around here and he saw me, he'd probably think that I was up to something. So.
All right.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
He heads out and you umbrella up. And
what a strange lad. All right.
Was he warning us, or I don't even know?
I think he was warning us about the journalist.
Had a bit of a haunted look in his eyes, didn't he?
It just seems like an awful long way to go out of his way, you know?
That umbrella's worth some money.
Did you get the feeling that there was something else he was wanting to say?
Yeah, I did. Let's go find Bonneville.
All right. Is the carriage here yet?
Yeah, is it like immediately?
It will be 5 minutes.
Okay.
All right, I'll go let him know. Go through to the chapel.
Mm-hmm.
I assume Constance and Gladys are Bible phrasing at each other. So
yeah, you hear Gladys say, "I do feel quite a lot better now, actually." I'm not sure if it's the environment or.
I think I'm sure it's helping. You know, when I first joined, one of the things that I did for quite some time when I was coming to terms with everything, it's going to sound very silly at first. A lot of knitting, um, little hats and things like that for children, and the kind of thing that they give in the orphanages and in the hospitals and things, and it keeps your hands busy and it gives you a little focus. And I'm going to get my I think on the way, I'll grab my knitting things, and I think that would be some chance to reflect on the passages that bring you comfort, and start doing some good with you. Keep your hands busy. It's always a good thing to do. Do you know how to knit?
I will creep round Constance and then quietly, so as not to interrupt. Just say to Bonneville. Go on.
No, but well, always good to learn a new skill, I suppose.
Even better. I'll teach you. All right. For a moment, and I'll run across, then grab my knitting things and start showing her how to. Well, maybe the carriage will be along, but if there's time, start.
Yeah.
Showing how to.
I'm trying my damnedest not to interrupt this kind of adorable moment. And then just over like carriage will be here in a few minutes. There was someone funny at the door, and then I'll look at B.
It was a lad with your business card. Said he was here to warn us that Mr. Bradley might be upset that we didn't tell him everything we've done with our day or something. And
Bradley was the bugger at the door. He's gone now. Forsmark got rid of him.
Right.
Yes, we. That'll be. Was it Ben? I think his name was Ben. Yes. What he came over here to. Oh, okay. Well, Shemi wasn't a little bit earlier, but I guess. Yes, it is the thought that counts.
He was also soaked through. Asked if he could have his umbrella back.
Yes, it was in the. I presume you found it. Yeah. Well, yes. I don't know what we're going to do about the journalist, but honestly, if he thinks that we're going to, I don't really see what the immediate interest is in somebody falling in the river. I don't imagine that. Well, I'm not going to start telling him about monster eels. That would be ridiculous.
Why'd you give this lad your business card?
Oh, yes. He just seemed, there were some drawings on his notepad where Mosling happened to glance at it whilst we were waiting for the journalist. They were just, they weren't very pleasant. He seemed, well, nervous is one word for it, but perhaps it was a little more than that. So yes, we simply, I guess, left him the opportunity to contact us if he felt he needed to. Nothing, nothing overt. But how did he seem?
I guess honest, maybe a little stressed, a bit. Not sure how to put it. Like he slightly too earnest for his own good. He must have liked you though, if he came all this way to warn you.
Well, it did seem quite an expensive umbrella. Perhaps that was a factor. Well, I hope we see him again. Perhaps in rather less pressing circumstances.
Carriage.
I'll go on.
I was just going to say, carriage is probably here now. I say standing up and saying it to everyone.
If I can get sort of into Constance's line of sight without being in Gladys's line of sight, I might sort of silently like hold up, like indicate to the holy water, or like hold a bottle up and sort of do a bit of a meaningful glance. And
Yeah,
just
you can definitely do that. I think because they're sort of discussing things, they're probably sat on a pew sort of like that, kind of half facing each other. So if you were over there, then Gladys there wouldn't be able to see you.
I'm now having like, is it? Can one drink holy water? Is this a thing, or is this horribly blasphemous? Because I don't actually know.
I don't think it's. I don't think it's a recommended practice, but desperate times.
I mean, it can't be
Yeah.
toxic because they dunk babies in it, right?
It's less about being actually toxic or not. It's not like
I don't know. I'd
it's
say
poison.
anything babies have been dunked in sounds pretty toxic to me.
According to the lay Cistercians of South Florida, there is no biblical basis that says drinking holy water is a sin. There you go.
That's good enough for me. Okay. And Constance knew that without this questioning, of course. So I guess I'll just nod back at Bonneville.
Johnny, I'm just thinking about it. Do we know? Because you said the other two, Rupert and Elizabeth, weren't in the room with her. Was anyone in the room with her when something happened? Okay, interesting. Hux is just curiously kind of has a thought, wanders back out of the room, and I'm just curious to have a bit of a look round the room where she was with the broken crockery, see if I've had any evidence of what she was doing, just given what we know a bit about these things before we head off. But maybe it won't be heading off.
Messages written on the wall in blood.
Yeah, or if it's just like she was reading a certain book or something, you know?
From what you can see and from what you know about the situation, you could speak to Rupert and Eleanor as well. But it looks like she literally left the room with a cup of tea, and then whatever happened.
Okay.
She didn't have any other items of note with her. So no, there wasn't like a book that she was reading or anything like that.
Or she didn't see like a really delicious fairy cake she just wanted to indulge in, you know? Nothing like that. Got it.
Fairy cake.
Oh.
No, there's nothing. You're pretty certain that it doesn't seem like there's no obvious trigger there for what happened.
In that case, after a quick glance, I'm like opening the door to the carriage to ferry people through.
Cool. So she, as you sort of leave the chapel, she says, "Oh, feeling a little dizzy again, actually. Perhaps keep an eye on me."
I mean, I'm presuming that some of us were going to be traveling with her. Was that the idea?
Yeah, I think so. Constance has just got her hands around, but not pulling out the little the crucifix dagger in her pocket, and slightly questioning the putting knitting needles into the hands of Gladys.
We'll be with you. I'll keep an eye on you. And I try and catch Henry's eye and sort of gesture towards my rifle and nod at his coat, asking,
I don't think I have my revolver on me.
You could get the carriage to wait for a minute while you went and got you, if you wanted to.
Gladys, is there anything? Do you have some bags and things we can bring down? to take along. If there's anything that you might need for staying for a little while.
I mean, I lived in an abandoned mill for a short while. I'm sure I can deal with a night in a convent without a change of clothes. Thank you, Sister Constance. Perhaps we should just be on our way.
It's a fairly quick journey, isn't it? It's not going to be.
Yeah, it's not too far.
So me rushing off for a thermos of tea with added holy water is probably not going to fly. I'll grab a bottle and stick it in my pocket. And I don't want to get a gun in London. That would be really bad. But I'll rush off to my room and grab it with some reluctance and trepidation.
You go to do so, and Rupert puts his hand on your arm and sort of covertly hands a weapon to you.
Okay.
Save you the time, old boy.
Thank you. Much obliged. Right.
Hopefully it won't come to it, of course.
Well, indeed. No other bits of advice before we head out?
Just if you think you need to act decisively, act decisively.
I will ruminate on this and then head out to the carriage.
How many fit in the carriage? Can we all get in?
You could comfortably fit 4. You could get the 5 of you in, like, at a bit of a squeeze.
I want to go to the convent, but I can walk, so I can meet people. I'll offer to meet people there.
You could offer to sit up with the driver.
Yeah, I could do that. Actually,
it's another option.
You're
actually.
right. I'll just do that. Yeah, that would probably be fine.
Yeah, he's happy to have you up there. You get the feeling that this is a driver that Rupert and Eleanor use, and he may or may not know a bit of things that go on, and is sort of like anybody who they like. He's happy to take whoever, and is aware that things may be strange. Probably is what you gather.
I know Gale is probably succeeding, but I am keeping a very close eye out for any sign of that journalist while I'm on the front of this carriage, like constantly, to make sure no one's watching us.
Let's cut back to Gale and Albert Bradley. So you've got to the. Are you taking him to the actual site of the?
I can't see the harm in it. You know, he's gonna find out eventually.
Cool. So he heads down, and the tackle box is gone, but he sort of goes, "Oh, yeah, I'll draw out these lines here."
I definitely want to get a photo of him do it. Like, I brought my camera. I would definitely want to get if I say it was against the door or against as we head out. Then I want to get a photo of him just in case we need to give it to anyone to say who we need to rough up, like or throw into the Thames. One of the two.
Placing him at a crime scene. If we keep doing that,
that's good.
He hears the camera sound and turns, and maybe for a moment you're concerned that he's going to be annoyed. And he goes, "Oh, that'll be the first photograph of me. Oh, very nice." And carries on drawing and goes, "Oh, looks like, this will be front page. Somebody's dragged him in this river."
What makes you say that? I say, kind of like messing around with plates and things.
It's these drag marks in the sand here.
Oh yes.
That'll
be in my original photo, I hope.
Thames trawler tricks.
Tragic.
Yeah, there'll be something there.
Angler. Angled. No,
hang about. Maybe.
we could do this all day.
Right, and you don't know who was here apart from the
So
victim.
no, see, I was out already on my usual travels through London, back and forth from my home. I sometimes take the long route, you know. Don't want to get back too early to those kids. And
Right, you are.
indeed. So I sometimes come by the Thames, and I was looking out. I saw him there 1 minute, and then he was gone the next. So, to be honest, I rushed back to get my camera to get everything sorted, and by the time I got back here, well, no one had disturbed anything, and that's when we went to the police.
Right. Well, this will certainly do nicely. Have you got? Do you reckon I could take that picture that you took last night?
I'll have it posted to you.
Earlier. Sorry.
I'll have a copy
Right,
posted
great, because
to
I
you.
can. Yeah, I can have the. Yeah, we could have that printed, and then we've got some kind of Thames tragic. Yes, I'll come up with something.
Thames tragedy.
Right, I'll be off then.
You sure?
Yeah, maybe just if you could maybe loop me in before the police next time.
Before the police, I hadn't thought of that.
Well,
no, I can
they
see
don't let anybody-
all tricks of the trade.
They don't let anybody know what's going on, do they? We do.
No.
People
have a right to know.
And they need to be paying me their half penny to do so, I think. Anyway, keep in touch.
Yep.
And
go down.
He heads off.
Yeah. I'm going to go down myself and have a look at the marks in the sand.
Yeah. Hooks had seen them yesterday, but
Right,
it looks to you like it's sort of like a half-dragged sort of movement towards the river from where the sort of fishing stool was.
Yeah,
There
that
are-
makes sense.
I'm not there, but there aren't any sort of fishy fin prints, are there?
There's not any fishy finprints, are there?
No,
fair enough.
like a large splayed wing mark on the yeah. No, nothing like that. Is Mosling just heading back to the house after this?
Yeah, Are there any big boats in the Thames right now? And bear in mind, it is one of the busiest rivers in all the world.
And what are their names?
I don't know their name. So Mosling, I hate this journalist, and I'm trying to think of things that we could plausibly explain someone getting dragged into the Thames with, and I think it is more plausible to say that fishers are getting their lines caught on boats and being dragged in with whatever new. So I'm like, maybe I can try and fake an image up with a big boat in it. And that's kind of what's going through Mosling's mind. So if I take a photo of it from the same position, which has a big boat in it, I might be able to do some.
Has Mosling invented Photoshop?
Trickery. Look, Mosling is a very intelligent man, despite all appearances, and he doesn't have 4 points in learning for nothing. He's going to try to.
There certainly will be if you. My initial reticence was me thinking, can you see a boat right now when it's dark from exactly where you are? But if you're happy to wait a little while until something comes in shot, then yes, I'm happy that you can get that.
Cool. Let's say that happens.
I'm not going to ask you to roll for that. That's fine.
That's cool. I'm happy to make a learning roll later to see if I can do some kind of jiggery pokery.
I was going to say I will ask you to check if you can actually generate a false image from 2 photographs.
I don't know if it's possible, but I mean they did that fairy thing, didn't they, with the photograph? So all I know is Mosling is willing to try things out.
There was some pretty cool
Cool.
stuff they did with like negatives and cutting sections out
Yeah.
and putting on top
Yeah.
of them when
That's
you
what
can
I'm
do
looking
it.
for.
Yeah,
I
even
don't wanna
in the
get-
1800s.
I needed to give this guy something so he'd go with us, but I don't want to give him any actual
Yeah.
photos. Like, you know, I don't want to give him.
Cool.
I don't want to give him shit.
It's one of those things that like you could probably like people back then didn't see many photographs and their photographs weren't always desperately good quality. So even a poor doctoring can
Look.
still be believable because they were all gullible because they didn't know what they were looking at.
Because the thing is, I want something that's really not in the foreground. It's deep in the background. So really, you know, it's going to be a deep fake, and I think that
Let's
And
change
that's
the
stream.
layout.
Good night, everybody.
You bastard.
Gale falls in
So
the river
anyway.
and drowns, never to be seen again.
Right, Mosling does that and goes back to the house. So back in the carriage, you are nearing the convent, and Gladys, as you sort of arrive, and the driver hops down and opens a door, says, "Just perhaps don't say anything to Esme until we've figured things out one way or the other." I don't think she needs to be worrying that things may have taken a turn. If you don't mind.
Fair enough.
Go up and knock on the door of the convent. Which I'm assuming this is closed now, this time of day, rather than walking.
Yes. Yeah. You can't just wander in now.
Yeah.
But it's not long after you knock that somebody somebody answers, and it is Sister Griffiths. And she says, come in.
Thank you. You were right.
I assume this
Time
is
is
Miss
of the
Pugh.
essence. She is the third.
Right, well, I suppose that removes the possibility of me
Yes. Well, come on in, Gladys. This is Sister Griffiths. Gladys, Sister Griffiths.
I believe I may have taken a turn this evening, Sister Griffiths. So I've been told. I don't remember a jot of it, I'm afraid. I am feeling a little more peaceful now I'm here, though. Sister Griffiths kind of gestures for everyone to take a seat in the pews if you want to sit. It's candle lit, but like quite bright. There's quite a lot of sort of hanging candle holders around the walls and stuff, so it's not particularly dingy in spite of it being a stone room that's lit by candles. It's actually quite well lit.
She said she similarly felt a little better when we took her straight to the chapel at the residence, and I do think it's the best place for you. Obviously, it has to be your choice, Gladys, but I hope this would be a good place if Sister Griffiths, if the offer still stands.
Yes. Perhaps Miss Pugh and I should go and have a private conversation. We can return shortly, just in the courtyard. I'm sure if anything untoward occurs, it'll become quite apparent quite quickly.
I would be looking at B and Constance and sort of, do we think that's okay? sort of glances.
I would. I wouldn't mind if I could at least keep an eye on you, sister.
She kind of looks, and you can see that there is a window that goes sort of into the courtyard. And she says, "We'll have the conversation there." Good then. And she turns quite almost sort of it's quite sort of a military movement. She turns quite quickly and heads off away. Is obviously expecting Gladys to follow her, and she kind of and heads off after her and out the door. And they're gone for a little while. If you wanted to have any conversations amongst yourselves while they're absent.
Are we confident if we leave them here, she'll be safe? Nothing more will happen. Seems a terrible fate if something did and we just left them to it. I know she says she's more peaceful and all that, but it's not really this nun's job, is it, to, deal with this? Kind of ours, right?
Sometimes we have to deal with the things that are put in front of us, whether we want them or not. Poor Sister Griffiths has had to do this once already. Granted, we brought this to her door, but I think she understands the purpose and the importance of it.
My concern is that this particular case is perhaps more advanced, and well, let's be frank, we don't know how to deal with the situation either. But yes, I do feel as if perhaps staying nearby for a period might be well, I'm not sure whether the word sensible applies, but it feels like the right thing to do if they'd have us.
I'm not sure if we can particularly impose, and I'm not sure whether that gives poor Miss Pugh the best chance of really dedicating herself if she's got people breathing over her shoulder, keeping an eye on her. She has to really commit to this in her heart. I think that's very difficult to do without a sense of peace. I think we have to trust. I think we have to trust her, and I think we have to trust this, and we can check in on her, and we can keep in touch, keep in contact. But I don't think we should be sitting over her.
But we don't know if it's Gladys that we need to trust. You heard it. It said we were too late. So, what if this doesn't do anything? What if by bringing her here, all we've done is put all of these nuns at risk? We've got a duty to keep people safe, and that includes them, even if it's something we've unleashed on them.
I think if Sister Griffiths thinks that she can be redeemed and is willing to give it a try, I trust Sister Griffiths more than I trust the words of that evil creature. It said it was too late. I thought all was lost, and then moments later, Gladys was back. It might not be too late.
As far as we know.
Yes, as far as we know, that's all we can do. All we can do is operate with what we have in front of us. That thing, maybe, for all we know, she's not even the third. I think it seems likely, but it's obviously not got a complete hold over her. It seemed to disappear. I don't know, if it's traveling along with her and it could see that, if it could hear everything that we'd said about what was going to happen, maybe it was some last ditch, the animal backed into a corner, grasping at straws sort of attempt to try and make us think it was too late, to try and stop exactly this from happening.
That is a good point. We're basing this only off what the creature said.
I don't think we should be foolhardy. I don't think we should just leave her here completely unattended. But what else can we possibly do than trust that this will help?
John, is B sort of keeping an eye out of the window while this? Okay. You see that the conversation looks to be becoming more animated. Not necessarily anything to worry about, but it doesn't. There's some kind of. There's at least a disagreement between them. But it doesn't look like she's being attacked or anything like that. It just looks like the.
Can I, first of all, Bonneville, I'll gesture out the window. And can I try and figure out, like, who's getting frustrated at who? Like, is there a clear attacker and defender going on?
I tell you what, make me a roll to see how well you were paying attention. And we'll do, I guess, vigilance.
I think isn't observation the emotional?
But it's more to do with who made the first blow, as it were.
Sure,
like,
yeah.
You know. Okay. You think that Gladys started getting annoyed first. Not annoyed, but not 100% on board with the way the conversation was going. I suppose is the way that I can describe it without you having any idea what's going on.
Something's kicking off. Gladys doesn't look happy.
Can you hear anything through that window?
Can I?
Do you want to try and listen?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Okay.
Do I need to try and sneak up to the window? Or...
So this is what I'm going to say. You've spotted that there's something going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm happy for you to use that same role to be able to hear, because we're in the same situation. But you would need to get closer. So you can either not try and stealth your way there, and you'll get a little snippet of conversation, you think, before somebody notices that you're there, or you can try and stealth there and hear more of the conversation.
I would like to try and stealth there.
Okay. Yep. Gives a roll. I think you're quite good at stealth, are you? Yeah. It's probably more natural, actually, for B to sneak to try and listen than to just wander over, to be honest.
I'm going to actually push that.
Okay.
Because I rolled... It doesn't matter, but I rolled 3 1s and no 6s.
Wow.
Are you now exhausted from this attempted sneak in a monastery?
Hopeless, maybe.
It's been a long day, I suppose, to be fair.
Still no.
12 dice and nothing.
Okay.
Them some bad odds.
Wow.
Okay, you get near the window, and you overhear basically, look, I appreciate that you want to help, but I think this is a viable alternative, and it means that I can be more flexible with regards to how shall I put this? Prior engagements? Well, I've said what I think, and I suppose if you're still going to be giving your time and efforts to the the church in some form, then perhaps. And then you knock a candle stand, and you grab hold of it, but it kind of hits into a collection tin just as you grab hold of it as it goes towards this sort of barrier bit that has a collection tin on, and your hand going around knocks the collection tin and it rattles onto the floor. So you're not visible, but the flow of their conversation has been distracted. And you hear them sort of start coming back inside. So you can avoid them knowing, you can rush back to your pew and avoid them knowing that you were trying to listen in. But the conversation has now ended.
Yeah, I'll rush back with a slightly guilty look.
Right. I have a suggestion, which Sister Griffiths does not disagree with. You think that she's chosen her words quite carefully there? Well, I feel as fine here as I felt in the chapel back at the house, and I wondered if perhaps you would like another resident. I would be much more useful there, and perhaps we could set me up put in a temporary wall in the chapel, and I can have a sleeping area.
Sister Constance.
I presume the area is blessed, and perhaps that's why I felt more at ease there, and I can be useful. I can nip out of the chapel and do other things in the home as necessary, and perhaps Esme will be able to come visit, and I'll be able to see all of you rather than these, no offense, sister, quite stuffy nuns. You're exempted, of course, sister, but I imagine the others are, well, I think there's a certain kind of person that comes here of their own free will without a demonic force forcing their hand.
How does the sister react to that?
She's pretty sort of poker face. You know that this isn't what she was suggesting, but as Gladys said, she doesn't disagree with with the possibility. You could ask her what she thinks if you wanted to directly raise it with her.
Gladys, I don't disagree entirely, but before you said you were willing to come here and join, to follow in Sister Griffith's footsteps. This seems like a departure from what you told us before. And if this was the first suggestion we'd heard, frankly, I'd be supportive of it, and I'd be right there with you. But I have to confess I'm a little suspicious, given that this is a change that comes after we saw something quite scary from you.
I understand, but, well, I wasn't aware that you had a chapel in your home at the time, Sister Constance, or the effect that it would have on my well-being if I were there. And I suppose if you're concerned about safety, then surely I'm better, closer to you as a group. In all seriousness, if I were to become murderous, what use are a group of nuns?
It's a good point.
If you want me to stay here for a while to prove my, I don't want to say innocence, but whatever it is, then so be it. But I just think that there is a better alternative.
And what do you think about this, sister?
Which one of us are you asking?
It's, Griffiths.
Griffiths. Well, I suppose I'm working with biased information. The only experience I have of this is my own. So the only thing that, but then even then, it could be coincidental that I've been here and this has happened. So any viewpoint that I give is biased from my own perspective, I suppose. I would personally be slightly more comfortable that the issue would be solved if Ms. Pugh were to stay here. But as I say, that's a biased opinion because that's what I did and I'm still here to tell the tale. Equally, I can see her perspective that if she were with you, if anything did go wrong, you're much better placed to deal with it probably than we are.
Not every order means living in a convent. That's not the path in life that I now walk. If you feel that this is the best thing for you, Gladys, I want to help you, and I share Sister Griffith's concern to some degree. I think from the little we do understand, it sounds like there needs to be a deep, real long-term commitment to a life of faith and devotion that I don't think just staying in our chapel will achieve. I think there's a deeper commitment that you would need to make. That's not to say you need to be cooped up in a convent. As I say, that's not my life. But I think that commitment to faith and to doing good and affecting good change in the world, that still needs to happen. And I don't think that that's just sleeping in a chapel. Maybe that's a temporary thing that might help or might soothe to some degree. But if this isn't the right place for you, I think it would be sensible to look at somewhere else that might be. I can tell you more about, I could tell you some more about my path, I suppose. If that's something that you think might be more relevant, but it's still a life committed to faith.
I think I could do that.
Kind of like look around to the other guys.
Shall we head back then?
Well, I don't really feel qualified to talk about matters of faith. I will take your lead, indicating the sisters. Perhaps we can. We can continue our research. Perhaps there's another way we've yet to discover to control this thing. But well, we are all very much in the dark, I think.
When you're lucky to talk about another way, I'm just looking slightly nervously at Constance.
Not that way.
Well, look, there's always a place for you here, Miss Pugh, and any of you, of course. And it would be foolhardy and proud of me to suggest that I know best, so... Miss Pugh, I believe that you have a little faith, so perhaps stay in their chapel tonight, pray on it, see what comes to you. Sister Constance, perhaps if you would be willing to be her guide in this and also keep an eye on her. She gives a look when she says keep an eye on her, implying that she doesn't mean spiritually. And as I say, always a place for you here.
Gladys, before we go, it's a weird question.
Mm-hmm.
Can I see your Spiritus one more time? Does it look any different to how it did? Okay.
No. Still just kind of scurrying around, occasionally sort of standing up a little and kind of looking at you with a horrible look on its mildly human face.
It doesn't say anything, though.
No. Doesn't look disproportionately smug.
No.
It's not
Okay.
exchanged faces with Gladys or anything like that.
I was half expecting it to have like burrowed into her brain or something grim, but yeah, okay.
If anything, do you want to make an observation roll, actually, John?
Yeah, all right. See, my worst roll, I rolled 2 dice and I got 1 success.
Oh, okay. As opposed to your like 25 dice that you just rolled for stealth, yeah. You think it maybe looks mildly more aggravated than the last time you saw it, which I think was in Lady Spence's house, right? That was the last time. Yeah. You're not sure whether that's because it's become slightly more in control and it's like or whether it's because it's in a holy place and is therefore annoyed because it's not got as much of it. Like, it's either a good thing or a bad thing, and you can't really tell either way.
Interesting. All right. Thank you.
But she showed absolutely no hesitation of showing you. There was no... Yeah.
Well, come on then. If there's nothing else, it's late. We'd all do better with some rest. Is the carriage still outside?
Yeah.
Yeah. Back to the carriage.
Yeah, the rain is letting up. It's just sort of a drizzle now.
Still keeping an eye out for that journalist. Just in case.
Yeah, I think actually you probably pass him.
Oh, no way.
On the way back to the house. And...
No, if I... Can I try and make a vigilance to spot him before he spots us?
Yeah.
Because I would genuinely ask the carriage driver to just try and change direction so that... Well, it's just
Run
me.
it down.
No. Yeah.
Drive him into the mud.
5 dice. Oh, well, I didn't succeed.
Okay, so you only sort of realise it's him as you're passing. But actually, you do splash him. The carriage splashes him with a little mud, and you hear him go, "Ow!"
We're all in the back flicking the V's at him.
Sorry, do I think he realised who I was and would have clocked?
No.
That's good then. I'm very happy.
I don't think like apart from you briefly opening the door then slamming it in his face, he's never seen you before.
I threatened him with the crowbar first as well when we first met him.
Oh, sorry. Yes,
I was
yes,
the person who caught him originally.
Yeah, but no, he didn't look up at the carriage drivers are probably below him unless they're worth something in terms of a story. Okay, so you head back to the house. Mosling is back. Are you in developing your pictures?
Yeah, I'm going to try and give this a go. I'm going to try and shop this photograph.
Okay, give me a roll. What are you going to say you're rolling on?
I think learning is the right roll because it seems like something that would require understanding of stuff.
I'm happy with that.
Can I use my book collection, my personal book collection, which might have something on cameras?
You would have some on photography, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can ignore my conditions when making learning tests because I have knowledge is reassuring, so I don't get a penalty for that. So I'm going to be rolling 9 dice. Not 9 dice, 8 dice.
Yes, it calms you. It's very mindful, and you're no longer angry when.
I roll 0 successes,
Okay.
so I am not going to push it.
Cool, that's fine. What I'm going to say is you develop the original picture. Or pictures that you have taken, and they're all fine. And actually, upon your reading, you decide that you don't have the requisite knowledge yet to attempt this. So there's nothing spoiled, and you can come back to it later and attempt it again. But I think it's been a long day, a lot of excitement.
That's a perfectly good answer. It would be. Yeah. I think it would have been a push. So I'm glad I tried, but happy to fail too.
But yeah, I think you've probably read enough that you think, oh, this might be possible. I just need a bit more idea of exactly what to do.
Like chemical knowledge and things like that.
Yeah. So as you all arrive back, Rupert and Eleanor say, Miss Pugh, we weren't expecting you back. And they kind of look each of you in the eyes to see if, and you see Rupert's hand go to sort of slyly to his waist and then away again as he realizes that he doesn't have a weapon anymore. Everything all right?
Yes, I think it would best get straight back to the chapel just to be safe, but let's we can speak there. We'll her over to the chapel.
Eleanor and I will make some drinks. Perhaps debrief in the kitchen once that's suitable.
Yes, some tea sounds like a good idea. Why don't I come and help you with that? And again, I will glance at Constance.
You have some because I've like given out like lots of there's this I've done the goodie bags already, haven't I? Yeah.
Okay, so the kitchen. Is anybody else coming into here with Bonneville and Rupert and Eleanor?
Yeah, probably would.
Hooks.
Sure. I want to get an update on what the hell happened and why is she here. That's basically.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
and I'm angry.
Unless Constance gives I want backup sort of look.
I want to tell everyone what I heard at the window while Gladys is being seen to, but I also don't want to leave Constance alone and unguarded.
You could just tell me to go.
Yeah,
we need covert hand signals for directing.
If it looks like no one else is following me to the chapel, because I basically suggested we all go to the chapel to debrief, and if I'm suddenly on my own, I will look back like.
Okay, that look is enough. I'll turn around and go, okay, and shrug. And just
I've seen Constance fight a redcap. I have no doubts.
I'm wandering into the chapel and making it look like I'm going there to just pray myself and not do a thing with you, but I'll just be in the same room.
We'll bring drinks through. We'll be there in a moment. I'll go through to the kitchen with Bonneville.
Okay. Yeah, so they start boiling some water, and Eleanor says, "Right,
What the hell
so
happened?
well, quite."
Well, we went there, had no incidents, and Gladys and the good sister went to go off and have a talk. And after a while, Gladys seemed to be getting a bit upset. So I tried to listen in. Didn't manage it for as long as I'd liked. But Gladys, earlier she'd said that she was all right with joining them. But she was saying that she said something about prior arrangements. She said being part of the church would get in the way of that. But anyway, they came back through, and Gladys asked if she could join us and live in our chapel. Because being in a holy place seemed enough to make her better,
Live in our
allegedly.
chapel.
So that's it.
It's clearly a risk. We don't know whether Gladys is talking or whether it's the Spiritus. But equally, we did have concerns about simply leaving her at the with Sister Griffith. So, I mean, I intend to. There's one thing I would like to see whether there's any effect, and I will hold up the bottle of holy water and. Once the tea is prepared, sort of aim to dose one of the cups. But well, clearly we need to keep an eye on her, but at least we can do so here fairly easily and surreptitiously. It's certainly not ideal. I think we need more information, really, but I'm not sure where to get it.
We're not a hotel. We don't just take in people off the street and put them up. Never mind the cost of the whole thing. This is a dangerous place. There's all kinds of Vaesen and information about Vaesen, dangerous information. You know, I'm starting to think that Constance might be right. We should remove that book if she's going to be wandering around and getting ideas about finding 12 heads to take. I think that it's completely ridiculous to have her here. You know,
Justin,
this is you go on.
Can you make me a vigilance roll, please?
Yeah, go for it. I don't want to react to this ghost when I see it, whatever it is, Johnny. So, I'm enjoying my ranting and raving, and my vigilance will get penalty to it because I am angry. So I'm only rolling 6 dice, and I get 1 success.
Okay. You see a similar thing that you saw in the library, but kind of from the top of a cupboard.
Right. Well, I guess I suddenly go quiet, and it's unclear where. Like, maybe I'm just apoplectic with rage, but I just shut up mid-sentence and don't talk and lean against a counter, rubbing my forehead.
No, I don't like it either. But if she's got something prearranged, then she's going to try and sneak out at some point.
But did she have anything prearranged? Has she ever spoken to us about anything like that before? She seemed fairly open to the idea of changing her life entirely. So perhaps we need to try to elicit what that might be in a tactful way, of course.
I think there's a lead that we've missed.
Well, given our recent yes, I don't doubt it. We've been off the boil somewhat, I think, recently.
Did she ever tell us the name of the woman who gave her the spurs? She was in London, wasn't she? Miss Brown.
That could be it. That could be it.
If we could track her down, maybe find out where she got it from, surely the first person in the chain must know something. You don't just get a box with a human bug in it and not know where it came from.
There must be, yes, there must be. There must be other leads we can follow. I don't know, perhaps I can go back to the library again, or maybe some museums, or these if these things exist in, you know, if they're not vanishingly rare, then somebody else must have documented something in a story or a myth, perhaps. But anyway, what we need to do now is ensure that she is secure and that we are secure. Jonny, does the chapel have a lock on it?
Did you put a lock on God's house?
No.
We converted something. It might. Oh no, was it a chapel originally, or did we convert it?
I think this was a discovered room,
Okay.
in that it was sort of boarded up and you.
Yeah.
So, unless you would have had reason to fit a lock previously, it doesn't. You could. You could do some kind of like, because it's 2 doors, so you could do some kind of chain and padlock situation. If you wanted to do something, you could get a lock fitted, but for now you could put something together. And I'm gonna say that you think that Gladys would not be like she'd be okay about it. She'd be quite you think she'd be quite understanding about.
Yeah, it's
not Gladys I'm worried about, it's Constance I'm worried about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Does this? Okay. Are there other exits to the chapel, like windows that she could climb out of and shimmy down?
Fire
No,
yeah.
No, it's like an internal room.
Okay. It's not the worst.
Goodness me.
Well, at the very least, we lock our bedroom doors, we lock the weapons corridor, and we lock the library.
I think honestly, somebody should stand guard for the short term, just until we have a handle on things.
What an excellent idea, Bonneville. Thank you for volunteering.
I'll take a shift.
Anyway.
And so will you, Mosling.
I'm going to do nothing of the sort. I'm going to bed. I've got a headache, and I don't even know why I'm talking to you guys right now at all.
Well,
I'm done with this whole thing. She should leave. I don't agree with her being here. Personally, I think she deserves everything she's got coming to her, and I just storm off.
How are Rupert and Eleanor at the moment? Are there questions? Oh, is Jonny? Jonny, were you freezing?
I was.
Stop it.
I put a nice warm coat on.
Inside out, obviously.
Yeah. Yes. How are Rupert and Eleanor? Have they got any other questions? Are there?
They both kind of give a bit of a look as Mosling gives his final outburst. And Rupert says, well, this is your investigation. You are as much parts of the society as we are. You may use the house as you will. if you believe that the best course of action is for Ms. Pugh to stay here, then we're fine with that. We have precautions in place anyway regarding Vaesen and perhaps other dangers, so
At least here, she will be away from prying eyes, which is another concern.
well, quite. Yes. That noisy fellow at the door.
Anyway, if there's nothing else, I would like to. I'll take this tea up. I do have a wonder whether she will react to this holy water. It's not. I don't really approve of this sort of thing, but curiosity drives me.
Very good. Well, I imagine I'll be turning in soon, so if anything happens or of interest, then let us know in the morning. Or before, if it's apt to do so. Hopefully not. I think everybody could do with a good night's sleep.
Definitely.
Not least of all Ms. Pugh. Can't imagine that that shape that she was taking up in the act of defying gravity was not tiresome.
Yeah, that's yeah. Forgot about that bit.
Well, he says, taking out a small flask and dropping a little bit in his tea. Good night.
Good night. I will hand him his firearm back.
Ah, yes. I did feel a little at sea without it as you arrived home.
So I guess we head to the chapel with some cups of tea, one of which I don't know whether to do it like one, just have one, or play safe and put it in all of them.
Holy water for everyone.
Yes.
Hux just bursts into flames.
Everyone bursts into
Wow.
flames.
Yeah. It's always a
Hux
risk.
is the second most religious person on the team.
True. It is true. I'm assuming has anything dramatic happened while we were in the chapel? Presumably not, Jonny.
No. Have you sort of given the okay, do you think, for her to start setting up an area for her to spend the night in?
Constance will be doing just that in the chapel. Yeah, with her. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah,
I
you're
think
sort of
just-
working away then, setting up a comfortable area for her.
I'll be like getting some bedding and stuff then, I suppose, to make it a bit more comfy.
Yeah, and I think Constance will be broadly explaining what she, without going into details of how she ended up there and the reasons why and stuff, but broadly what the process was of joining the church for Constance in terms of, essentially like a schedule of prayer and reflection and certain good deeds. It's not like nun boot camp, right? Like the sort of like the expectation, what it was that she went through, and essentially like plotting out like her Gladys's curriculum over the next like few days, and we're going to be up at 5 a.m. and we're going to be like all of this like kind of just sort of plotting out what the expectations are, and this is how we're going to do things.
Okay.
Yeah, she's taking it all in a stride. She's a woman of the world who has been up at 5 a.m. quite frequently doing, in her abandoned mill and other times before. You imagine, you don't know exactly what she got up to before that, but yeah, you you're pretty certain that she can deal with whatever you throw at her. Sorry, Sam, you were going to say?
I was just going to say, can I make a roll, maybe like, I don't know, observation or something roll, just to see, I'm trying to gauge her face to see if it seems like she's nodding along, kind of trying to placate Constance to actually sneak out at night, or she actually genuinely believes what Constance is saying. I'm trying to gauge, which way.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, an observation roll, please.
So that is 1, 2.
Because observation in this is specifically to do with your observation of other people. And
Yeah,
things
it's
rather than
empathy roll, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I got 1 success. I got every number on that. Numbers.
Cool. Yeah, she's definitely agreeing to what Constance is saying. There may be a bit of it that she thinks is, overboard or whatever. She doesn't necessarily think that she needs to be up at 5 a.m. to be able to devote her life to doing good deeds. But equally, she doesn't know. So there's a little bit of sort of, oh, right, yeah, I'll just, maybe later we can move it till 5:30 or 6.
That's fine,
or but it's not like she's not literally just going, yes. Mm-hmm,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that's what I'm trying to gauge. Good. That's what I want to say. Okay.
Yeah. So everybody else arrives with tea. Has Mosling stormed off and gone to bed, essentially, Justin?
Yeah, I think that's unless like if everyone's turning in, then I think Mosling's happy to turn in. If we're all going to be up till like 3 a.m., then I might do some research.
I don't know what everybody else is taking tea to I just didn't know if you'd stormed off at the end of your sort of tirade, but if you haven't, then obviously you could go with them to. Yeah.
Well, where have you stormed off to?
Maybe the library, doing some reading.
Okay.
About poltergeists and things like that.
Along with the tea, I've also swiped a bottle of brandy. And will offer it around, possibly to cover up whatever taste holy water might have. But
Magnus,
I don't know what. See, they don't tell you these things in the game book, do they?
What, the Bible?
It's water. It's water that's been blessed.
But okay. Whenever they have it in like vampire movies, which is the only time you ever see holy water on TV, it's always in a bottle with like a little metal crucifix in it, and surely that's going to leave a taste.
Might taste a bit metallic, yeah. Also, in the 19th century, would you know that holy water would taste like water? Maybe you might think it might have
you
some
might genuinely
taste.
think that. Yeah.
Constance has been blessing this stuff.
She's been down in pints of it.
Blessing it.
Yeah,
this is Constance created holy water.
Maybe
this is Constance brand.
If Constance has like a glass of water at a bedside table, she'll just be like, "Oh, I'll just bless that."
Gladys says, "No," and then is about to take a sip, and then Constance sends her back, and she goes,
"Pour her a $1 pin."
Thank you all for agreeing to this.
It's all right. It's hardly fair of us to force you to go there. Free choice and all this and everything.
Just being around you lot is much more me than a convent with nuns.
It's a difficult decision. It's quite a departure from the life I had before as well, but a much better life.
But as you said, Sister Constance, the route that you have taken is not the same as Sister Griffith's. Perhaps there is a middle ground where the needs can be satisfied, but things don't have to be quite so stark a difference.
What did you do? what skills do you have? Obviously, knitting is new to you.
Yes. Well, in school, I could outrun all the boys. I'm not too bad with a bow. I've read a lot of books.
Seems like from my experience, you're really damn good at not being found when you don't want to be.
And that.
So I'm trying to think how best to convert your existing skill sets and the things you take pleasure in into charitable deeds that will dovetail nicely with this new purpose. I'm not sure how most of those might work, but perhaps we can read to the children at the hospital or something like that if you're literate and that's something that you enjoy. Perhaps there's something in that we can start with.
That sounds lovely.
I'll stay here with you for this evening, if you don't mind. We can pray a little later into the evening and be up first thing to get started in the morning.
Lovely. Yes, thank you all again.
So, Jonny, there've been no, tea's been drunk by everyone. No strange, reactions. No choking. No bursting into flames. Nothing like that.
Nope.
Okay.
I will fetch my things and get ready for settling in for the night. And I'll bring through your things as well. Since you're staying here, make sure we've got everything you need here in the chapel. And yeah, I guess I'll head out briefly to go fetch some stuff.
Sister Constance, could I perhaps trouble you for some paper and a pen? I think I should like to write to Esme. Let her know what's going on.
Yes, of course, I'll bring something through.
Could I go have a quick chat with Jenkins before we settle?
Hawkins.
Sorry, Hawkins. Yeah, the butler.
Yep.
Universal butler name.
Yep.
I just want to say, first of all, I don't know if you heard, but that lass is going to be staying in the chapel for a bit. Don't know how long.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you probably know about the weird thing she's got with her that might affect what she does. We're all a bit worried about that too. Keep an eye on her, but obviously not overtly. But I'd say makes sense to lock all the doors from the inside and make sure the keys aren't in the lock, if you see what I mean.
Quite right, sir. Just a quick question, actually, about the thing that's with her. Does that kind of flit around the house a bit?
No, it shouldn't do. You've been saying something?
Yeah, just the past few days, but
recently.
Sure, it's nothing. Yeah.
No, I don't like. I'm sure it's nothing. I'll tell you what. Can you try and draw me a picture of it?
Yeah, I normally only see its sort of eyes and its hands peeking over things at things. Usually at Mr. Mosling Forcemark, actually.
I'll have a word with him. That'll be a fun chat. Thanks for telling me. I'll keep an eye out.
I'll get to locking all the doors.
I'll at some point, my intention is to kind of just tell the others what Hawkins has done as well, just so they know if they're trying to get out, the doors are done. I'm assuming I can just do that.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Don't be concerned if you wake up and your door's been locked.
Is anybody doing anything else before sleep?
I want to try and catch someone outside of the chapel. So if Hux was the only one who was out and around, then I would be trying to say kind of the opposite of what you've just said to Hawkins. Basically, we like this. This has to be her own free will. She's a prisoner here. It's absolutely no good whatsoever. We can keep an eye if people want to stay up and be aware of any movements and comings and goings, but we can't just trap her in. That's completely counter to anything here. She has to make a choice to live the life to dedicate her life in this way. And if she chooses not to, we can take action as we see fit. But we've got to give her a true free choice to do that.
Well, I think you're right. I just told Hawkins to lock up though because she's our responsibility as long as she's here. If she wanders off and does something terrible, I mean, if she wanders off and does what she just did in the kitchen a couple of hours ago in the middle of London, all hell break loose. We can't have that happen. Until we know more about this, I think safest thing is to keep locks locked. She didn't know about it. As far as she's aware, she still has free will. If we hear her battering down the door in the night, we'll know something's gone wrong. Then I don't think it matters what she thinks.
So, game question: Did we decide to try to sort of lock the door somehow, or? I mean, I think
if you try and do that, or if you make any moves to do that, once Constance gets back to the chapel, then she'll pretty vehemently say what she's just.
I also think we shouldn't do that because that's alerting her, and that's just bad.
So I think Henry is. Yeah, Henry's going to be, and again, whoever's outside the chapel, Henry will include in the conversation. I'll be trying to find a spot where I can keep an eye on the chapel door and stay relatively hidden. And yes, sort of my intention would be to keep an eye on things, keep a guard, and see whether anything happens during the night. I'm slightly concerned about what she's going to be writing to Esme, but can't do much about that. Well,
not with that attitude.
I think that maybe one of us should also write to Esme.
That seems sensible. Yes.
Jonny, the driver who said maybe don't tell Esme, was that random carriage driver that we don't know, or was that like?
Oh no,
James
that was Gladys.
Oh, don't tell Gladys.
Yeah. No, Gladys was saying don't tell Esme.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I got muddled. Yeah, right. Okay, gotcha.
Which is why I think we should definitely tell Esme.
Yes.
Cool.
Okay, so you're kind of setting a watch outside. Sorry, go on.
So the last thing is I'm like lost track of slightly on the timings now. I sent a letter to my church, or a telegram or a letter. No, just a letter. I think actually it's probably too soon to have had any kind of response back then, isn't it? Because that was
also today, I think.
Oh, it might even have been. I think it was if people had it like over the week while we're waiting or something. I think it was part of that time at some point along the way. But Constance will keep an eye out for any letters coming back.
Yeah. And then you're kind of setting the watch. Constance is staying in there with Gladys. Is anybody else doing anything before sleep?
Can I roll a learning test to see if I've learned anything about weird peeping, creeping things while angrily researching?
Is that what you're doing?
I think so. Okay.
Give me a learning roll.
I've got 2 successes.
Okay. You find something and you go, oh no, and then you keep looking and hoping that it's something else, but everything points to it being fairies.
What bollocks!
Or a fairy.
There's just a crashing sound from the library.
And we'll leave it there, I think.
Fuck.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, everyone, for watching. please put any questions or comments in the chat. I've seen one that I'll answer in a moment anyway. There are links below the stream to our YouTube, our social media, our Discord, which please do join and come and chat with us and the other lovely people who like watching things on the channel, and also our Patreon if you want to support us there. We do this on a Monday night. On Wednesday nights, we do Simba Room, and 1 weekend day a month. Usually we do a different one-shot adventure with different players and GMs and things. The next one is Saturday the 29th and is Goblin Quest, which is going to be very silly and fun. But yes, questions or comments, please put them in the chat. John, can you put the really obvious one up on the screen for me, please?
Biff.
Yes, thank you. Biff the
Thanks,
Boss. Thank Biff.
That's a great pitch, Biff.
Yeah. A quick synopsis of the game so far. So this is arc number 3.
Mhm.
The first arc, the group were introduced to the society and ended up dealing with a red cap. The second one was sort of their first client that wasn't given to them by Rupert, who is kind of their boss, I suppose, is like the figurehead of the society. And they went to Bodmin and ended up dealing with some pixies, which didn't turn into a fight. Somebody had gone missing and the pixies were basically playing a trick. And
ended very sweetly.
Yes, and also while they were there, Gladys Pugh, who is has been a character in this arc, also was introduced to them as somebody who is dealing with a Spiritus, which is like an evil sort of demonic entity, which is can have three owners before it then sort of possesses somebody and can no longer be passed on anymore. And it is believed that Gladys is the third owner of this Spiritus. And the group are also dealing with an annoying journalist and a potential sort of sea serpent in the Thames, who the... God, when I try to explain it all at the same time, who the sort of...
the arc is called Loose Ends, which I think is kind of obviously quite appropriate. Like, there's actually quite a lot of threads that this is all dealing with.
Johnny giving some
there's a really lovable journalist assistant who also has some unknown terror that we've even yet to encounter. So like basically all of the things are happening all at once in this story, which is quite fun.
Amusingly though, I'm pretty sure of all the opponents, the journalist is our greatest nemesis so far.
Yes.
Right?
I think he's drawing the most ire from the group, yeah. But if you do want to catch up properly, all the videos of the other ones are on YouTube, as well as millions of hours of other things that this group and other groups on the channel have done. So yes, if you've got some time to spare, then feel free to work your way through those. And thanks for joining us this evening as well.
Johnny, do you want to give a brief background to what Vaesen actually is?
Yeah, sure. There you go. So it's a free league game. It works with a D6 dice pool with sort of stat plus skill is the number of dice you roll. A 6 is a success. And it's sort of Victoriana, and we're playing the Mythic Britain and Ireland supplement. So the original one is set in the Mythic North of sort of Sweden area. And yeah, so this one's set in the UK. And it's sort of folklore, and it's kind of like works as kind of like a monster of the week kind of thing, slightly more stretched out and extended. But any more to add to that?
So I guess the investigators have like the site it's called, so
yes,
we can see these creatures called Vaesen, which mostly originate from folklore, it seems. Not everybody can, but that's why we've ended up being wrapped up in these mysteries. A bit like Call of Cthulhu, but the Gribblies are usually not quite as
quainter,
mind-shattering. Yeah.
We have
And
like a
we-
trauma that gives us the sight, which is kind of an interesting backstory,
Yeah.
which can come into the story. Can't we? Sorry, John.
And we've been recruited into a society to help not fight, but manage, liaise, and sometimes fight with
Like the Men in
Vaesen.
Black.
Yeah.
Depending on who you
Instructions
are, you're
unclear.
totally there to fight and destroy all of these evil creatures, obviously.
To be honest, it's a
Sure.
Victorian club, so it's kind of like, it's like attitudes towards these creatures. Yeah, maybe put them on the wall, maybe talk to them, classify them if you can,
But a couple of cool things that have come up are with the journalist and also this new thing in the house. At the end of an arc, the group can spend points on upgrading the HQ so they can unlock rooms and characters that then have sort of mechanical effects during adventures. But the number of points that they spend, I roll that many d6, and on a 6 there is a trouble. So the first trouble is this journalist that I was kind of planning on not being as much of a prominent figure as he's become, but sometimes these things happen, don't they? And also this thing that's in the house and seems to have taken some kind of interest in Mosling. So yes, there you go. There's loads of information really quickly. Are there any more questions or comments? But yeah, thank you for that. That was great.
We had a bunch of suggestions for what sort of knitting Constance and Gladys could be doing. We've got knitting cross cozies, little knitted jumpers for the Jesuses, amigurumi communion wafers.
Nice. Yeah.
I-
We should do XP. We should
Yeah,
do
I was gonna
XP.
say,
And
my
also,
question.
Biff, thank you for the follow.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, yeah, questions for experience points. I'll do these in full since there's people watching. Did you participate in the session? Yes, there's 1 XP. Did you confront any Vaesen? No. I'm going to say no.
Other than B, perhaps.
Did you identify a previously unknown Vaesen? No. Were you
Justin
affected
did.
by your...
And Mosling?
Yeah, I mean, arguably Gale
I know what fairies are.
fairies, yeah, in the house.
I already know what those things are. I fucking hate them.
Were you affected by your dark secret? No. Did you take risks to protect other people?
I'd say letting us stay in the house arguably is.
Yeah, I'm going to say that you did actually.
Well,
Like
that's-
you didn't get in a fight, but like you travelled in an enclosed space with somebody who was previously and Mosling went down to a dark, dingy riverside with that journalist.
That's not. I don't. No, it's not taking a risk. Like Mosling has taken it relatively easy. This whole thing.
Have you learned anything? Yes, I'll say that you've learned things. Did you develop something in your headquarters? No. Did you form an extraordinary action? No. So it's 3, which is kind of the standard amount that you tend to get. Has anybody got up to 5 and will be able to upgrade a personal thing before?
I mean,
next session?
I had 5 hanging over from last time. I need to.
Nice.
I've got 10 now.
Oh, yeah. I spent at the beginning of the session, just upgraded my manipulation, and now I have 5 again, so I might do something else.
Nice.
I only
Very
took 2
nice.
XP, but when I get my next one, then I'll get my learning so I can do more photo editing.
Yes, nice. Were there any more questions or comments, John, of interest?
Nope, I think that is everything.
Okay, cool. We may not be on next Monday because it's a bank holiday and I may be away doing things. I will 100% confirm that soon. Please join us on Discord and then you will get all kinds of updates about things like when things are happening.
And you can join our 1,000 YouTube.
Yeah, please
Yay.
subscribe to YouTube.
Just crossed that threshold, which is
So exciting.
kind of marvelous.
And Goblin Quest on the 29th.
Yes. It's going to be fun. Right, cool. Thanks, everybody, and hope to see you again. And thanks for watching. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.